Good afternoon, everyone. It's 1 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Alex, and I'm excited to be hosting this webinar series with NGA's Aeronautical Dissemination Team alongside Hilton Software. So today we're going to be covering the Aerodata Server multiple routes and drag and drop features. Just as a reminder, the webinar is being recorded and is going to be stored on the aeroapp.info website and our YouTube page for later reference. So we're going to start with some quick introductions from our dissemination team and Hilton Software, since this is our second webinar series. So I will hand it over to our program officer, Bruce Farnham, for his quick introduction.
Hi, my name is Bruce Farnham. I've been with NGA for 16 years, been the program officer for this for 7. Appreciate y'all joining. We'll be covering multiple subjects today. Please, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask, and we'll have a question and answer session at the end. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. So as I mentioned before, my name is Alex, and I am the Deputy Program Officer for the Dissemination Team. I've been with NGA for almost 3 years now and started out as an area analyst, and I've been in this position as the Deputy Program Officer since March. So after that, I will hand it over to Hilton Software to give their quick introductions as well.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Hilton Goldstein. I'm the CEO and founder of Hilton Software. Very honored to be working with NGA on Aero app. We've been making a whole lot of improvements to Aero app over the years, and we're very excited to be part of this webinar to show you some of the new features that we've added. And I'll hand it over to Carla.
Hi there, I'm Carla Rivera. I'm Hilton's executive assistant and also the government liaison. I've been with Hilton Software for about 3 years now, and I'm excited to show you guys some new things.
Thanks, Hilton and Carla. So next up, we're just going to cover some quick rules of engagement. So just please remember to mute your microphones during the demonstration unless asking a question. We do welcome questions throughout, so please feel free to speak up or enter your questions in the chat. Our team is going to be monitoring the chat and addressing any questions that come up. If we're unable to address your questions during the webinar, just let us know. We're happy to reach out directly and cover that as well. The agenda for today, we're going to start out with our feature demonstrations for multiple routes and drag and drop, and then we're going to cover the Aerodata Server and just cover some general information about that and how you all can get that set up. And then we'll move into the Q&A portion of the webinar as well as open discussion. So with that, I will hand it over to Hilton and Carla to cover the multiple routes and drag and drop features.
Thank you, Alex. One moment while I share my screen here. All right, so we'll get things started with multiple routes. So as you can see, I have a route already loaded. So if we just tap on the bottom left arrow to show my route panel, I'm just going to tap on route and tap on show routes. Now, as you can see, I've already got some routes loaded in here. If you want to do that, the way to do so is we go back to our route panel. If you have a route loaded, you can just click on save. And when you do, it will appear on show routes when you tap on it. So from this menu, you can tap on as many of these routes as you'd like. Blue check mark denotes it's being shown on the map. If we click on the map, we'll see that these routes have all been shown on the map in different colors so you can distinguish them. You want to remove them, we just go back to our route menu here, tap on show routes, tap on them again, and they will disappear. If you would like to load one of your saved routes, you can just come back to the route menu, click load, and it takes you back to this menu where you have your saved routes. So we can just pick, and this will automatically load this route into your route panel, replacing your previous route. Now from here, I will show you a little bit more about drag and drop. So for this feature, you can drag and drop a segment or a point in your route. If you would like to drag a segment, you'll just long press on the segment, drag it over to wherever it is you'd like, and you can change that to the current point, an airport, a nav aid, a waypoint, or any user waypoints you may have loaded. So for this demonstration, I'll just pick this nav aid. Your route automatically gets modified. The point gets added to your route panel, and you're good to go. If you would like to modify a specific point, you just long press once again, move it to wherever you'd like, and then once again pick a point, airport, nav aid, waypoint. Let's go with this. And once again, your route is modified, the point gets added to your route, and your route panel will reflect this. You can also add a point by tapping on the plus. And this just gets added to your route. Another thing you can do is remove a point from your route. You can do this from the route menu just by swiping. So you can just delete that. Or you can again modify your route. All right. So with that, we're good with these two demonstrations. Does anybody have any questions about either of these features? Okay.
Send a message to everybody.
If not, we can move on to talk about the Aerodata Server. I'll pass it over to Hilton to discuss the server a little bit, and then I'll give you a quick demonstration on how to set this up.
Good afternoon. Aero app requires that its data is stored on the iPad. Obviously, while you're flying, it's assumed that you don't have an internet connection. And so obviously, each cycle you need to download data. And when, many years ago, a lot of the data was stored on a server. We then improved that to have the data basically being stored on the cloud, which significantly improved download speeds, reliability, and just ease of use to ensure that everyone was able to get their data. However, there are certain cases where we could even do better, and we came up with something called Aerodata Server. For example, downloading from the internet, it obviously would be faster if all your data was already on your local network. If you're on a ship where you basically are not, or you may not be connected to the internet, you may not have a fast connection, or you just somewhere where basically the internet connection is just horrendously slow. And, maps are pretty big. So, we came up with something called Aerodata Server. And what that is it's basically a machine that sits on your local network. And what it does is it will download all the files for that cycle and for the next cycle and store them on a machine local to, on your local network. Then iPads that have connected to your local network through Wi-Fi can simply download that data directly from ADS. That makes it very, very, very fast. We can download an entire cycle in a couple minutes versus, many more minutes. So Aerodata Server is very useful for downloading data like that. Also, just to ensure that we have our data is good. Every file that basically gets sent to the iPad has a signature attached to it. Aerodata Server maintains those signatures. So whether you are downloading the data from AWS, the cloud, or ADS, or anywhere else, Aero app will require that you have a signature attached to every file, and ADS ensures that. Something new that we've added in the latest version is think of this use case. Let's say you're on a ship and some pilot arrives at the ship and they have the latest data cycle, but you don't. How do you get that data to everyone else on the ship, or if you're somewhere else where you basically don't have a good internet connection, etc. And so we've added two things. The one is on iOS devices. If you have an iPad, you can simply airdrop it to anyone. That's a great feature. It uses the Wi-Fi speed of your devices. It doesn't even need a network connection. So if you're up at 40,000 feet with no internet connection, you can just airdrop it to the person next to you. Again, the signature files are maintained, and so the integrity of the data is assured. And that's very comforting to know that you're getting good data. But being able to basically just send cycles from one person to another is really, really nice. However, if you're trying to share that data with a whole lot of people, that's not optimal. You'd have to go to each person and airdrop it. And so what we did was with ADS is if you have an iPad with a current cycle or any cycle on it, you can actually upload that data from the iPad to ADS, thereby making that cycle available to everyone who then connects to ADS. That's incredibly powerful for several reasons. First of all, that allows one person to basically distribute data in an unlimited fashion, because once that person has uploaded the data to ADS, they can walk away. They're done. ADS will then distribute all those files to any iPad that connects to it. So that's great. And then once we add this capability to Android, which is coming soon, you could have an Android person, or an Android, someone who has an Android device, upload it to ADS, and then someone with an iPad download it, because at that point it's just data. And so that's not something you could do with AirDrop. So obviously Android doesn't have AirDrop, and so you wouldn't be able to AirDrop from an Android device to an iPad, obviously. But using this upload capability that we've just recently added to Aero app, and someone with Android can upload their data cycle to ADS, and then someone with Windows or iPad can download it. So the goal of both AirDrop, the goal of both AirDrop and upload to ADS is moving data around quickly and easily. And it's great, the AirDrop capability as well as the uploading to ADS, just allowing data, cycle data to be distributed very, very quickly and very easily and seamlessly. Like I said, you could be in an environment with no internet connection and you can be loading your data, which is something new and certainly unique, and something that we got out to ensure that everyone has current data. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Carla, who is going to give you a demo of the Aerodata Server.
Hello again, everyone. So just really quickly, if you're trying to get ADS, you can always go to aeroup.info, click on the top on downloads, and just click on software. You can pick whichever method you'd like. If you just click on direct install to device, it'll take you to this login page. You pick your preferred method of authentication, and then once you're in, you just download. Also, if you have any questions, you can always just go to downloads, user manuals, and you'll be able to access the manuals for all of our applications, including ADS. So once you download and install ADS, you'll open it up, you'll come to this screen, you'll use default credentials to log in. And once you log in, you'll come to your dashboard. So here on the top left, you'll see the information. So you'll be able to see what version of ADS you have, your IP, your network speed. If it says yes in green, it means you're connected to the internet. You'll also be able to see your usage. If you go down here to regions, you'll be able to toggle on and off whatever regions you would like to download data for. And under additional files, you can toggle on and off as well these additional data files, giant reports, moving maps, things like that. So once you've selected what data you want to download, you come up to the top and you just hit update, a little cloud. Once you do this, you'll get a progress bar showing you how much data is being downloaded, the speed, how much time is left. Another good thing about ADS is you can also import files. So under import, you see these buttons. You can tap on add data files, add user files, and you'll be prompted to choose from your device. Now, once you have downloaded data or you want to verify that your files were imported, you can come up to the top and hit the little data button, and you'll be able to see all the data you have in your ADS, whether that be core data, EPOLs, moving maps, giant reports, or user files, which is where your imported data would show up. Also, please note that you can delete individual files or you can delete files in batches. So you can come up to the little trash can, you just click that. If you want to delete the whole batch, you just click the very top one to delete the whole batch. Now, if we go back to the dashboard, another good feature ADS has is you can convert Geotiffs to MB tiles. These will also appear in data under user files. So if you go to settings, you'll come here, you'll be able to name your ADS whatever you like. You'll be able to pick the source for your data, whether that be AWS or GHub. You'll also, under core data options, be able to choose if you want full files and deltas, or just delta files. You can also pick under cycle options, whether you want the current or the current and next cycle. And also you'll be able to enable or disable the Aero upload feature. Now, when you enable this, you'll be able to choose the frequency. So let's just pick an hour. So this is good because, as Hilton was mentioning, this is just another way to share your data. So if you had an iPad with you and you wanted to share data to an ADS, you would just go to your data page, and when you would tap on share, your ADS would appear as an option as well as AirDrop. And as easy as that, you would be able to transfer data from your iPad into your ADS. From here, you can also change your initial login credentials. Obviously, you don't want to keep the default. So you would just change and confirm your password. And it's very important that you always tap on the bottom right corner where it says save. Here, you'll also be able to have your GeoAccess and Aero user database credentials. You can either save or not your password and choose whether or not you want to auto purge.
Carla, what we've gotten a lot of phone calls on is when people put their credentials in there on my laptop at home, I don't see this entire screen and I don't see the save button at the bottom. So people are putting in yes to save their credentials, but they're not going down and hitting the save button at the bottom. Then they call us saying my Aerodata server's not going out and getting data, but they didn't fully save. So make sure you scroll up on your screen and hit that save at the bottom.
Yes, it's very important. Save credentials just means after you have hit the save button at the bottom, it will save credentials for future. And this is important for the auto update. You don't want to keep having to come in here and put your credentials in. Of course, this is a choice. You don't have to save the credentials. Another good thing about ADS is it gives you logs. So you can check all your logs. And also on the dashboard, you'll see we have a monitoring sheet on the top right. And of course, if there's any questions, you can always tap on the help button and you'll have the Aerodata Server user manual for the version of ADS that you currently have installed.
The Aero app is capable, or Aerodata Server is capable of other things such as importing your own user maps and storing them, as well as data files or PDFs. How would I do that?
Yes, you can go back to your dashboard and under import, you would just tap on add user files. And again, you would choose your files from whatever device you're on. And once they have been imported, you would just go to data under user files and your files would be available here.
And that works the same way if I export a Geotiff from my mission planning system of a mission I planned out with all my graphics on it.
Yes, it would still be considered a user file, so it would still appear under user files.
And that will convert that to an MB tile, correct?
Yep, you would just have to go to your dashboard and tap on the convert Geotiff to MB tile, and you can choose the format that you receive it in.
And then it's ready there. So anytime I connect my iPad or Android device to my Aerodata server, I will see that as a user map and I can load that in. And it's selectable on my iPad as a user map.
Yes.
Well, that being said, I import my Geotiff, convert to MB tiles. We have it on my iPad. Well, then I can then enter that route. My AMPS or jump system can export a CRD file, which is a route file. And I can port it in. So now I can import my route, have the graphics on my user map that I've created, and that should lay right perfectly over the top of each other. So I have the route in there and all the graphics I've created for that mission.
Correct. All right.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in the conversion from Geotiff to MB tiles. What that does is, if you're unfamiliar with what it's doing, is it's taking a Geotiff, which is typically a very large image, and it's not something that moving maps can handle elegantly, quickly, with high performance. And so what we do with all our maps is we break them into what's called MB tiles, and it's a similar format to what Google Maps and all the other ones use. Basically breaking the world up into lots of tiles. And so what that process does is it converts this big image into these smaller tiles that Aero app and other mapping engines can use very, very efficiently. And so that's what that process is doing. And so even though it may take a couple minutes for that to run through, the performance that this enables Aero app to have is really, really significant. And before we added this feature into ADS, what we would require crew to do would be to take a Geotiff and then go find some commercially available application to convert a Geotiff into MB-tile and then side load it. It was certainly doable, but with this feature of converting Geotiff to MB-tile just seamlessly right in ADS, it just, again, this is part of how do we get data to the crew as quickly and as seamlessly and as easily as possible. And I think this is a great new feature. You can basically take any Geotiff, drop it in there, and then within a couple minutes you can download it and drop it right onto your moving map in Aero app. So it adds a lot of capability, makes things easier, and we'd love to see taking your Geotiffs, dropping them on Aero app, and sending us some screenshots, and let's we'd be happy to host those in various places. But just getting usage cases like that would also help us optimize things and improve things going forward. So, like Bruce and Carla and Alex said, please send us feedback on whether it's the features we show you today or any other features. We'd really appreciate that.
Another thing to mention is in our next release, we will also be supporting conversion from GeoPDF to MB-tiles. So you'll also be able to see that in your ADS with our next release. Does anybody have any questions regarding ADS?
Hi, yeah, Pete Kennedy here from the Royal Air Force. I just had this kind of alludes to one of the questions that was asked earlier. I just want to clarify my understanding about how. So I understand how the MB tiles and general airfield data that requires the signature files are loaded, and how other PDFs can be loaded via user files. Am I correct in thinking that I can just load individually .crd files as roots and GeoJSON files as overlays as a user file, which is then made available through the user files? Is that correct, or is there some other way of doing that?
Yeah, you can drop in. This was something we added maybe a year ago. I forget exactly, but you can take a CRD and so what we call it side loading. Essentially, when you're not downloading, when you're just basically using your desktop to drop a file onto Aero app. Yeah, you can drop CRDs into your documents folder, and those should be read just fine. And then I think, did you mention GeoPDFs?
Jason.
Oh, GeoJSONs.
Yeah, GeoJSON. And I was going to ask another question about GeoJSON as well, but sorry, you're about to say something.
Yeah, and we do support GeoJSONs as well. And you said you had a question? Follow-up question?
Yeah, just about the custom overlays. So I've been playing around with importing GeoJSON files. How have I just by literally sideloading rather than through the ADS. So just by plugging into my Mac, and I've noticed that all of the custom overlays that I can load in, they're only ever in sort of black lines, like really noddy, but technical question. Is there some sort of additional formatting to the GeoJSON that I can apply to make different colors on my custom overlays?
There is no capability now. However, we do allow setting of colors and things in other places. So this is something that I'm sure Bruce and Alex will make a note of. And this is exactly the type of feedback that we like to get. And we can look at adding that capability in the future. But
so
yeah,
just for a tiny bit of background, I'm a C-130 guy background, and I think having the ability to have different colors for different overlays for tactical airspace could be really useful.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and you know, we will give out contact information at the end of this, but I strongly recommend that you contact the NGA Aero app team, and maybe, you know, like I said, send screenshots. Send a screenshot of what it looks now, maybe what you'd like it to look like. Any suggestions? You know, feel free to throw suggestions at us. We like that because we want to make sure that whatever we implement is going to satisfy you know, your requirements. If you look on aeroapp.info and other places, you know, this says that this is your EFB, and so what we really want to do is make sure that whatever we add satisfies your requirements. So if yeah, just send ideas, even if you think that they sort of out of the box type ideas, or we really take feedback very seriously. We look at it, and then you know, maybe this was a low priority for us, but you know, when we get feedback like this, it's very easy for us to bump it up in the priority and get it out to you sooner. So yeah, thanks for your feedback. This is really very useful for us.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks very much.
Sure.
Any other questions from anyone? We're currently looking at the chats, reading those.
Yeah, this is Bill Geiser. I have a question about making data available via the ADS server. I provided some of the details in the chat about the version numbers, but I've had something unusual happen the last 2 cycles. I've downloaded the update to the EIPL files, but when I go to my iPad and try to download the updates are not displayed as an option to download. So I tried the option of logging on to the Amazon web server under our Aero user database, and I had the same issue. Is this something unique to me, or is this something that's been reported elsewhere?
Bill, this is Bruce. That has not been reported, but we'll go back and test that and see what's happening there.
Yeah, it just started, and I thought, well, maybe I didn't get the data, so I re-downloaded, uploaded it to ADS again, rebooted, tried some different things, and I thought, well, maybe it's a cycle thing, and then I pop up this cycle as well. So I'm not really sure.
Did it align with the new release?
No, it's the new release, when you release the EIPL files, those are available, but it's always just the updates that do not display as a download option on the iPad. And that's via the ADS.
Okay, when you say updates, you're talking about the normal 28-day cycle, because
No,
April's used to come out. There's no more mid-cycle updates. They're just once every 20.
Okay, or maybe that's when I log on to the download site, the update files are there, and they are just, you know, I download and they are displayed in my data file on ADS, which is, I'll tell you what, I'll take some screenshots and I'll send it to you guys. That way you can see what I'm looking at.
All right, appreciate it, Bill. And that's a good example of why we want to do these webinars, where we get direct feedback and help us resolve issues.
This is Scott O'Neill from headquarters ACC EFB. I have a question about the authentication piece for the Aerodata Server. When we use Aero app, it'll allow us to authenticate through our mobile device manager, currently BlackBerry, but we're looking for other solutions. Is there a way to open the Aerodata Server to authenticate through your MDM rather than having to use a password and username?
To my knowledge, we've not tested a Aerodata Server on an MDM. I guess the first thing I'd look at is, what capabilities that MDM have as far as other devices, other than mobile devices.
Well, I mean, we're using Aero app on our device right now for the BlackBerry MDM, and it authenticates through that MDM. I was just wondering if the Aerodata Server can have the same functionality as the Aero app does to authenticate through the MDM.
To my knowledge, we've not tested that, but that's a great idea, and I'd love to test it, because you got multiple options on MDM, whether you use a Windows laptop, a Windows Surface, or a MacBook.
These would all be iPad, so this is all be on iOS, and also that if we had the capability to download the Geotiff so we could use it for our tolled apps onto our devices.
Yeah, Geotiff is not a file that we do on the Aero app, but it has been mentioned before that people want that for the toll. In fact, I was just out at a C21 unit yesterday, and they asked that same question about being able to grab that file. So it's definitely something we can look into, but I would think, and I'm just a helicopter pilot, not a software engineer, but if our EFBs and the Android tablets work, maybe the MacBook would work as well, but we have to test that and look into it. But that's a great idea.
It does work, because what we've done is sideload the Geotiff data and the 3 tolled apps for F22, F16, and E3 all work with the Geotiff files sideloaded onto the iPads.
And when you just transfer as a user file into a folder then, and then you're using the toll software to grab it out of that file?
Downloaded it from NGA, and then onto my MacBook, and then sideloaded it into the device, and the apps were able to pull the Geotiff data and recognize it and use it. So I only had to sideload it on the device once, and all 3 apps worked at the same time.
Well, that's definitely something we can look into, add that capability to the Aerodata Server, where it goes out and grabs a Geotiff file, because we could definitely host that in our cloud environment. But that'd obviously be a modification that we'd have to work on. But I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. That'd be huge for us.
Oh, yeah.
And what we would like to do is to reach back to you and just get some more specifics on that, and then perhaps at some point just ask you to test the software, like as a beta tester before we release the software, so that we're all convinced that once we release the software, it's doing exactly what you need it to do. So yeah, again, appreciate your feedback on that one.
If you want to send the Aero app group email, and we'll have that contact information at the end, so that our team has that. Greatly appreciated.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we had a question from Sam. Are you out there? It looks like he left the building. He was asking about a copy and paste in a computerized flight plan into the route via AKC message from the OPARs and AirRink. That's definitely something we can look into. Other ways of importing them. And they're talking about including and decoding both routes, the departures and stars as it comes out of their mapping application, or other mapping applications do that. Definitely something we can look into, and we'll reach out to Sam. We have his name. But that is not something we currently do. We got any more questions out there? Any suggestions, features, thoughts for future webinars? You name it, go ahead and throw it out there.
Just to add to that, if you want to paste an entire route and you tap on the plus button, you can go and paste an entire route. So if you copy it from one application or a web page or wherever, as long as it's, you know, obviously text, you can go up there and hit the add button, tap on it, hit the paste button, and that'll replace your current route with that new route. So, you know, we don't have anything automated with those other systems right now, but you can certainly just do a cut and paste, and it will read it in and make that your current route.
And it will reconcile that route. It'll check it for errors. If there's any questions on a waypoint, which one it is, it'll ask you, but it will reconcile that route.
Hey guys, it's Pete Kennedy again. Not a question as such, but I just want to say thanks very much for the session. It's the first one of these webinars I've been along to, and I'm planning on coming along to the subsequent ones. In contact with the AIDU, the UK's MOD Aeronautical Information and Documentation Unit. I know we've got an NGA rep based in there, but please feel free to reach out to me as well if you've got any Royal Air Force related questions specific to Aero app. I'm trying to plug the use of this app across the RAF as well, because I can see it's got great potential.
Oh, we greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so just to provide a little bit of more information about the support that is provided to all of our users. If you ever have any questions or need some assistance with the app or the Aerodata Server like we talked about today, if you go to aeroapp.info, that's a really great resource. The site is great for referencing notices to software updates, feature updates, and descriptions, downloading your data, software, user manuals, and of course, actual support. So if you go to the support tab and select Contact Us, it will bring you to the Contact Us page where you'll fill out your name, email address, phone number, and any information that you're having some trouble with. And there will be a contact at Hilton Software that will get in touch with you and try to troubleshoot your issues. If it's something that we can help you with here at NGA, they'll pass you our way and we'll get in touch with you. So there are some other really great resources on aeroapp.info. If you are not getting our newsletters or webinar information, just go ahead and send us an email at aerodistro@nga.mil, and we'll be sure to add you to our distribution list, but you can also access that information here on the website. We've had some really good discussion already, but I'll open it up to any additional questions and discussion before we close. We just want to say thank you all for attending our webinar today. Of course, for more information on the features and updates, just be sure you visit aeroapp.info or contact our dissemination team directly at aerodistro@nga.mil. We are looking forward to seeing you in August for a discussion on the completion of our EIPL, the Electronic Instrument Procedure Library, georeference charts, and more. We'll actually be hosting this webinar from Fort Rucker during one of our site visits. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you know somebody that might be interested in hosting us for training or just to learn more about the dissemination program and what we do, you can contact us at aerodistro@nga.mil or contact our military representative, Lieutenant Colonel Bischoff, at thomas.bischoff@nga.mil as well. So if anybody has any additional questions, feel free to throw them out in the chat or speak up. All right, I think that'll do it for us today. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in August.